Good morning and welcome back to another Gribley's Folly Sunday Antisocial Hour. That time each week in which I smoke my pipe and complain about humanity while answering its questions. And there are a lot of questions this week. If you or someone you know has a burning question that you just can't find an answer to, put it down in the comments below with the hashtag AskGribs, and I will answer any questions, personal questions, big questions, small questions, obscure questions. I'll answer them, and I'll get started right after this intro. Thank you for tuning back in. I am smoking Solani Virginia Flake with Perique in my custom rusticated Missouri Meerschaum hardwood pipe, a gift from Amy Mac. R.I.P. Amy Mac's pipe channel. It's a real loss for the community. I mean, this isn't new news or anything. It just made me think of it. Those were the days, right, when Amy Mac and Pottsville Piper and I would send each other sex toys in the mail. Anyway, welcome back to another week. It has been kind of a tense week, you know. Like the prank on my mom, thank you for all your comments on that video, by the way. The prank on my mom took up a tremendous amount of my mental energy. I don't have a lot of mental energy to begin with. And so the middle of the week was just like Halloween was just insane. And I am, do I want to bring this up? Yes. Okay. I am participating this year in NaNoWriMo. If you don't know what NaNoWriMo is, that is a shortening of National Novel Writing Month. And the idea is that if you really dedicate yourself, you can write a short novel in the month of November. 30 days, you can write 50,000 words if you write 1,666 words a day. Let me adjust the exposure there. I do not have that much dedication. And so what I'm doing is revising a novel that I wrote in the past. In 2014, I wrote this novel, and it was the second complete novel that I wrote during NaNoWriMo. I wrote one before that, and the first one I wrote was really good. The second one, not so good. And in addition to being not that good, it's really dark and brutal. And so I've left it alone for 4 years. I think I read through it once and I was like, yeah, I don't want to read this anymore. Like it's gruesome and it's realistically gruesome. And so I've been shying away from it for 4 years. And then this November, NaNoWriMo came around and I thought, you know, I can't write a new novel. I really wanted a project. I wanted something to do. I can't write a new novel without at least getting this one up to like rough draft stage. So maybe next year I'll work on something new, but this year I'm stuck in this world, this dystopian reality where it's the novel concerns the plight of a family in a dystopian political future. And it is horrible. It's just horrible. So that's the world I've been living in, and then I'm hanging corpses from my mom's porch, and then of course today is the time change. Oh, but we gained an hour of sleep. No, I have a 3-year-old. No one ever gains sleep in my house. Wednesday off. Wednesday was Halloween. I took Wednesday off just to like, you know, do Halloween-y stuff, prank my mom, decorate, that sort of thing. And then I took Thursday and Friday off too because because I was just so damn tired. I was like, I just can't. I basically have not worked this week. I worked Monday and Tuesday and like, you know, I've been doing like the baseline work that one needs to do to run a business, balancing the accounts, that sort of thing. I haven't done a lick of work past that. And mostly I've just been trying to get my head in order. I did an hour of devil breathing on Friday. I've been playing a lot of Minecraft with my buddies. By the way, if you are into Minecraft, I have a Minecraft channel. It is called Gribs Grinds. I plugged it in the last video and then forgot, of course, to put a link in the description. I will do that in this video. I promise. If you like Minecraft, go check it out. If you don't, then don't, because it's just a Minecraft channel. I have to say, I like this blend a lot. The Solani Virginia Flake. I would like to be smoking something heavier right now, Northwoods, Westminster, something like that, due to the temperature in the Gribley's Folly Community Garden and Massage Parlor. It's probably 35 degrees in here right now. I don't really know. Let's see what the weather says. Anyway, it's definitely getting cold, and Norbo can bitch and moan all he wants about his Wisconsin winters or whatever, but I was born and raised in the deep south. I'm so sorry that my exposure will not lock. I don't know how to lock the exposure in video mode. So that's why my face keeps getting whited out every time I move my head from the center of the frame, because it's trying to auto expose on the dark back. Okay, right. So what temperature is it in here right now? We'll have to crank up the old Samsung G5 here. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Oh, there we go. We got a banner. Right now. Give me a temperature. Come on. Do it. Son of a bitch. Unfortunately, AccuWeather has stopped. Okay, well, fine. We'll just go right to the questions. Right to the questions this week. Now, while I'm complaining about humanity, let me also complain about the products of humanity. Number one, my tripod. My tripod shakes. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it until I went back and watched videos and my old videos, and the tripod shakes. I have it attached to a damn 16 kilo NERBs. Look, the tripod is attached to a kettlebell. 16 kg kettlebell, 35 pounds for those of you in Britain. Beer beard, 35 pounds beer beard, and the tripod still shakes. It still shakes. So I'm sorry about that. Second, let's complain about the product of humanity that is the YouTube Studio Beta. Are you guys using this? Like, is that a thing for you? Because it's a thing for me, and I hate it with a blinding passion. And I keep missing comments is the problem. I miss comments, and then I find them later. The only way I know that I've actually, responded to a comment is if I heart it. But if I heart the comments and I don't write it down immediately in my Drive document, then there's no way to... I'm not pleased. All right. So this comment is from 2 weeks ago. Francis Barnett, Ass Gribs. In American films, we hear folks ask for eggs sunny side up, but never sunny side down. Why is this? If sunny side down is not a done thing, then asking for sunny side up is redundant, surely. I looked into this. I am not a person that eats fried eggs. I only eat eggs scrambled, because any other way is totally disgusting. I don't know why people do it. Anytime egg yolk is discernible from the egg white, it's so gross. But I am aware that there are some benighted souls out there that still enjoy a fried egg. One time I had a Scotch egg that was pretty good. But I think that was mostly because of the bacon around the egg. Anyway, so I've only ever had one Scotch egg in my entire life, because that filled me up for the rest of my life. It was such a heavy meal. I was like, well, I don't have to eat anymore. Okay, one less thing. So anyway, I Googled this. I had to Google this because I am not personally an egg connoisseur. And here's the thing. Sunny side up is a fried egg that is only fried on one side. So sunny side down would mean that you flipped it after the sunny side up fried. Sunny side down just means a fried egg, an egg that is fried on both sides, right? Because the sunny side is the one that's facing up. So if you were gonna fry that side too, it would just be a regular fried egg. Pete Piper asked Gribs, I'm sure he's asked this question before because I remember it, but of course I never responded to it. Can we see the picture in the background? Yes, you can see it. Here it is right now. That's a Pop-Tart. This picture, I think I took it in 2006, 7, 5, one of those 2000 dates. This is my very good friend Elise looking into the window of a prison. Obviously, it's not of a prison cell. There's no bars or anything, but it was an old, largely decommissioned prison. And this was one of the administrative buildings. And we gained access to the campus of the prison and we're snooping around. And I took this shot with a Voigtlander Perkio. You should Google it. Voigtlander Perkio. I think it was the Perkio 2, which was a foldable, pocketable, medium format camera with a normal lens on it, but no viewfinder. It was all scale focusing. So the way you scale focus is you look at something and you say, I think that's about 10 feet away, and then you turn a little dial on your camera to 10 feet and take the picture. That is how cameras should be. That was just perfect. Anyway, so the picture is a little bit out of focus. It's not very sharp, but I think it's a really good shot. I printed it out. That frame is a square yard. That picture is framed to a square yard. So I already have a different photo hanging in my living room that is framed to a square yard. If I put two in my living room, it would look like an art gallery. And my wife wouldn't be so happy about that. And I honestly wouldn't be so happy about that. Plus, that's not a living room picture, you know? So the picture that I have in my living room is it's of a grave. But whatever, it's in color, so it matches the couch. Tamping my pipe off the table here so you won't experience any shaking. Yeah, so this picture got relegated to the community garden massage parlor. I would love to sell this print. I've tried to sell it in the past. It never sold. I would love it if, for example, my friend Elise would say, you know, I really would like to have a print of that. And I could just be like, well, here's a giant yard-sized print of it. You know, like I would love to get rid of it. But, I mean, it's okay over there. It's not too bad. I had several false starts to this video. Did I already say that the Solani is really good, but I'd rather be smoking a Fuller English? Because that's the truth. All right. John Galdieri asks, what is your fondest birthday memory? That's a tough one. Was it? Yes. I was 5 years old. My parents gave me a Nintendo Entertainment System. It was awesome. They hid it under my bed, and I had been, was I 5 or 6? I was young. I was like yeah. Well, no, I would have had to have been 7. At least 7. I guess I'm thinking it came out in 85 or 86. So I would have been 7 or 8. Okay, that makes a little more sense. My next door neighbor got an NES and I loved it, and I had been like leaning on my parents for months and months, you know, to get me an NES but we didn't really have, we were not a family that had a lot of gadgets, or I mean, my father was a ham radio operator, so he had a lot of gadgets, but we didn't have the money to have lots of gadgets because he spent it all on ham radio. So it was a big deal, and I didn't actually think I would get one, and so they hid it under my bed. And then I remember coming out to the dining room. We had a dining room, but no gadgets. We had a dining room, and I came out to the dining room, and my mom had written me a poem, and she had there was like a present, right, and there was a poem on top of it, and the last line of the poem was, "The real present is under your bed." So I remember like running back through the house to my room and getting this Nintendo under my bed. And I still have it. It's right over there, and it still works. It works perfectly. And I plan on passing it down to my son when he is of a similar age. Not that he'll care, because he'll have an iPad by then. Aristocob says, you look a lot better with a pipe. Have you seen any more bears? No, I have not, Stephen Boron. Thank you for asking. That was bear number 4 for the year. Last year I only saw 3. So mathematically, I do not expect to see any more bears. However, I mean, and it's probably just the residuals from that experience. But every time I go out there, I'm expecting to see a bear. I'm like, I've seen all the bears for the year, but there's definitely going to be a bear out here today. But yeah, no more bears yet. Charles Hunter on the What I Learned from Not Smoking for a Month video, Charles Hunter asked, what is the percentage of pipe enthusiasts who have never smoked cigarettes? I don't know. And I think that really depends on how you define never. Because the way that my life insurance folks define never, excuse me, I just realized you couldn't hear me this whole time. Okay, there we go. We got the A-Static D104 Gribley's Folly signature microphone there, bringing the sound of my voice to you over the internet. Norbo Norbo commented that, of course, in his radio days, he used a Shure 55S, or Shure 55, I think. And yes, those are beautiful microphones, but this Norbo, this is a ham radio microphone. A little bit different from a radio microphone because this one doesn't have to sound good. You just have to be intelligible. All right, so I don't know what the percentage of pipe smokers are that have never smoked cigarettes. And then again, there's like, I've never smoked a cigarette, and there's like, yeah, I've never smoked cigarettes. Like, I have smoked probably 2 packs of cigarettes in my entire, like, spread over the course of my entire life. And I tell people I've never smoked cigarettes either. So like, is it? What I was saying was my life insurance people, they're like, have you ever been a smoker? And I'm like, no. And they're like, ever? And I'm like, so wait a minute. What you're telling me is, if I snuck a cigarette out, and smoked it out behind the barn, like when I was 12, that counts. And they're like, yes, that counts. I didn't have a barn, and I didn't smoke cigarettes when I was 12. So I'm like, well, no, not a smoker. Mayor Tant asks Scribs, how can I be as cool as you? And Derek, you can't, because I have the hat, except this week I'm not wearing the hat. Where is my hat? Whatever. I'm not wearing the hat because it's so cold in here. I have to wear this ugly looking Carhartt boggin. So for this week alone, I have reduced my coolness to your level. A30-06 asked Gribs, are there many NERBs? Are there many Civil War reenactors around where you live? And are they mostly Seckish? And I had to hashtag ask A30-06, what is Seckish? And he said that is the secessionist side of the Civil War reenactment ilk. Ooh, ilk. The word ilk came up again 2 weeks in a row, as opposed to the unionist side. So I'm definitely aware of the sides, but I've never heard the phrase Seckish. To answer the question, I'm sure that there are, but I don't know of many. I know of some that reenact the battle of a small town over yonder, and we'll call this town Shitsville. And so apparently they dug back in history and found like some time when somebody found out that someone was sleeping with his wife, and so he took a musket and shot him. And they also happened to disagree about politics, and they came up with the Battle of Shitsville so that they could draw in tourists, like for this place as a civil war. Actually, there was a battle there. So this area, Western North Carolina, was a very conflicted area during the Civil War, and there are a lot of Union loyalties here. There were a lot of Union loyalties here, and so it was definitely a swing state, not North. You know what I'm saying? This was where deserters came from the Confederate side. Deserters came here because they knew that number one, they knew no one could find them up in the mountains, and number two, they knew that there were a lot of Unionist sympathies. So I don't think there's any major reenactments, but I wouldn't really know because I don't run in those circles. Did I just say run in those circles? Is that really a phrase that I used? Whatever. I'm not tuned into. I don't have. This is my finger. This is the pulse. It's not on it. Piper asked PUBG, why aren't you playing PUBG instead of Minecraft? By the way, Gribs Grinds, Minecraft channel. Go check it out. I'm not playing PUBG because my computer won't run it. And because it would take over my entire life, because I'm an intensely competitive person when it comes to first-person shooter games, and I would not be able to walk away. Andy Walker asked Gribs, do you watch the Invictus games? No. I don't know what that is. Then we start getting, David 35445 asked Gribs, why is there a third eye above the door now? You're creeping me the fuck out, dude. I don't see anything. What's he talking about? On my comments about the MAGA bomber, I said I didn't even trust that the whole thing even happened. Salmon Online, or probably more likely Salmon Line, says, I'm sorry, you don't trust that it actually happened? I'd consider upping my medication if I were you. Dude, please. This is the thrust. The thrust of the channel is I don't trust anything. I don't believe in any of the institutions I used to believe in. And so the idea that a bombing happens, an attempted bombing or not, depending on your view on it, what you think the guy was trying to, Caesar Savak, whatever his name was, whatever. What you think, Little Caesars, what you think Little Caesars was trying to accomplish, depending on that. Look, I worked in the media, and I guarantee you, and I'm willing to be wrong here. Like, if someone can prove me wrong, please do. But I guarantee you, no one in the media laid their eyes on one of those bombs. Absolutely not. They laid their eyes on pictures that the government sent them of those bombs, X-ray scans, whatever. Although they didn't they send one to CNN? But again, I know that the only person at CNN that saw that was the person that was like, oh, tick, 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 like, oh, let's call the police. Like, I don't trust for a minute. That's not entirely true. I mean, I think this happened. Realistically, I think this happened. But I don't trust for a minute the media industrial complex to actually report anything without bias or accurately. I think that this probably happened. I have no reason to suspect that it didn't happen, but I don't trust that it happened. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff like that. Google the Gulf of Tonkin. Bob McNamara says he's sorry. He's really sorry about that whole Vietnam War thing. Really wish that hadn't happened. Yeah, thanks, Bob. You know, Gulf of Tonkin, the sinking of the Lusitania, the Reichstag fire. These kinds of things are manufactured by governments and media all the time. And like if you look at history, it is not an uncommon occurrence. Not saying that this was casus belli for an invasion of Florida. Although when you look at it like that, maybe it's not such a bad thing. Seriously, Florida. Seriously. Are any of you guys from Florida? Let me know. Like, how do you... I assume if you're watching a pipe channel, you're probably a pretty even-keeled person. You know, if you're smoking a pipe, you're probably not also mailing someone bombs. How do you guys walk around in Florida not fearing every single other person in the state? What is wrong with me? It's the microphone, Norbo. It's the microphone. I never would have rambled to that point if I hadn't had a microphone in front of me, encouraging me, taunting me, goading me on. Come on, Gribbs. Drop your inhibitions about saying something really, really stupid. Just keep talking. Yeah. So, let's move on, shall we? Here's a safe subject. Walter asked Gribbs, since you mentioned Megyn Kelly, do you think her comments were a fireable offense? I actually had to go look up her comments again, because all I'd heard was what people said about them. I hadn't heard the actual comments. And I mean, I really don't think, how does Bill Maher still have a job? Bill Maher, that guy, whatever that guy's actual name is. I've never heard anyone pronounce it. I read too much. I don't watch. I read, right? And so I don't know how to pronounce anyone's name. So anyway, Megyn Kelly, Megyn Kelly's comments did not personally strike me as like, oh, she's done now. But I'm white, so maybe I'm not sensitive to it or whatever. I think anything that NBC considers a fireable offense is a fireable offense, meaning they know the market, they know what they want their viewers to think of them, and you know that's the way it works in a free market. And if they don't like it, then yeah, she's out. I will say that I am not that impressed with Megyn Kelly again in recent times. Yeah, but I wouldn't, you know, I heard what she said and I was like, yeah, I don't think I would have said that if I were on national TV, but I wasn't like, oh, you're done. You know, I wasn't like, oh, there's no way you're going to make it through this. So I don't know. Does that answer your question? Prediction, ask about the bucket. What's in the bucket? We don't know. Could be anything in there. Oh, jeez. Robert also asked if the witch will be making any appearances. The YTPC community witch that we said, yeah, will be involved in all this in relation to the bucket. I mean, she's a witch. So how do you ever really know there's not? Like, what if she has what if the bucket is her familiar? You know, I mean, most witches, they choose like an owl or a black cat or something like that. But, I mean, I guess witches could choose a bucket. We don't know. There's no way we can tell. She might be sitting behind you right now, David 35 445. Andy Stiltner, hashtag AskGribs. Just found out I'm going to be a dad. Any advice or wisdom you care to pass on? First, congratulations. Second, this is our last question. If this question doesn't interest you, see you next week. Third, yeah, I do have some advice, and it's not going to be the advice you really want to hear. Well, first piece of advice. You just found out you're going to be a dad. Sleep now. Sleep now. But second, you're asking the wrong guy, because my child rearing experience has been very different from the normal child rearing experience. And we have at least two other dads like me in the YTPC, fathers of special needs kids. And I don't know what the circumstances of their births were or anything like that. But my advice to you is worry about the actual child rearing first, or later. I'm really off my game today. Worry about the child rearing later. Get the kid here first. And the best thing that I did while that time was upon me was my wife wanted us to go. No, I think we both wanted to go to a birthing class. And it was fine. It was a fine experience. You do the Lamaze stuff. You like walk your wife around the room while she pretends to be in labor and that kind of thing. But they had there was literally 30 seconds of that class that might, I mean, almost assuredly saved our son's life, which was that, if you see pink fluid, go to the hospital. Because that means the baby is coming early. And so our son was born very, very early. And we would not have known what to do really, if we had, and at the time, I remember sitting there in the class and being like, whatever, that's not going to happen to us. I don't want to think about that. Think about that. That's my advice. Think about the ways, be prepared. Don't fixate on, but be prepared for the ways that things could go wrong, in the process of getting the baby here. And, read up. I mean, even if you just spend an hour on it, read up about premature births, read up on what a NICU experience is like, just in case. I think 1 in 10 babies are born prematurely. So that's a 10% chance that this will be your path, and it's a path that no one prepares you for. And it's incredibly shocking to find yourself on it. In fact, the night that my son was born was the only time in my life I have ever gone into shock. And it was a surreal experience that I've never really talked about here. And, I can talk about it if you want to, but I'm not trying to scare you. It's, 90% of babies are born just fine. So, but no one talks to you about it. No one, because no one wants to bring it up. No one wants, they bring it up to the mom about their labor horror stories. Like, oh, I was in labor for 72 years and, the baby was born with a freaking football helmet on and, blah, blah, blah. But no one ever says, my baby came really early. And if we hadn't known what to do, he wouldn't be here at all. That kind of thing. So know what to do. Here's another aspect of that. Do not plan any trips or home renovations or any major life disruptions in the third trimester. The week before my son was born, my wife was 6 hours away out of state. The week before my baby was born, we demolished our entire kitchen because we were like, hey, we got to renovate the kitchen, get ready for the baby, right? And we thought we still had plenty of time, and we did not. So I would say when you get past frankly, the survivability threshold, when she's 22, 23 weeks along. After that, you want life to be as even-keeled and smooth sailing as possible. You want to be together. You want to be in the same town, you know, and you want to not have any, you should be prepared at any moment, because sometimes you know when a baby's going to come early. You've got a week. Like, oh, you're going into preeclampsia or something like that, and they put the lady in the hospital and all that. Sometimes you know an hour ahead, like we did. And that sucked. I'm sorry, that seems really dark, but it is the truth. It is the truth. Know those things. Those are basic things you should know. But let's talk about some fun things about having a kid. Sometimes they give them Mickey Mouse stickers at the doctor when they have to give them a shot. I'm just kidding. All right, here's some real baby advice. Don't buy a diaper genie. Don't spend money on things that you don't understand. Like, there was a lot of stuff that people like wanted to get us, and our rule kind of was like, I don't know why in the hell we would need that. Like, why can't you just put the diapers in a trash can? We had a diaper genie for like 2 days because someone gave us one. And they had gotten it, you know, it was like a hand-me-down, not like they bought us a gift of a diaper genie, or we would have kept using it. But like, it just took up space. And there was just a bunch of stuff like that. And you're gonna make those mistakes. You're gonna buy stuff you don't need. But like, there's a whole industry around babies, you know, the baby industry. And the reality is, the human race has been procreating for 100,000 years, and for 99.999% of that time, we didn't have diaper genies. We didn't have video baby monitors. We didn't have all that crap. So you can get by with a lot less stuff than they want you to think you can. This might be a little self-serving, but hire a professional photographer who like is an actual photographer, not the portrait mill folks that work in the hospital. If you like, for that first week, I mean, if you don't want pictures, don't worry about it. But like, don't go with the hospital photographer. They're not good photographers. I mean, I hate to say negative things about my competition, but they're not. Hire a professional photographer. Take your own photos in the hospital. Get the photographer to come to your house after you get home. Take photos in your home where everyone's comfortable, where the baby won't freak out. As a father, you will need a diaper bag. Like, you can't let the mom have the only diaper bag. So get a cool one. Go ahead and pick one out now, because that was like the only fun purchase I got to make. The adventure bag that I have now was my choice for a diaper bag. I ended up using a Canvas messenger bag because it gets less looks when I'm out and about with my kid, as opposed to my Digicamo backpack. But I have an outfitted diaper bag, and you'll get your shit together over time of like what you actually need in that and what you don't. Just get a nice bag, because you will use it every day. Here's something no one talks about. It's entirely common. It's very common in the first weeks that you bring a newborn baby home to wonder if you've made the biggest mistake ever in your life. That is a thing that parents wonder about. Don't feel guilty for wondering about that. That's kind of where postpartum depression, some I would never claim to like speak about postpartum depression, but like my understanding is that there's a lot of guilt there when mothers are like, oh my God, my life is like effectively over in a way. And you know, how do I deal with that? Fathers deal with that too, but we're not supposed to talk about it, right? Because we don't have the fatherly postpartum depression. We don't get that. So your mental health is very important, and it's going to suffer. There's no way your mental health is not going to suffer because you don't sleep. You don't sleep. And you got big issues. How do I just created a life? Like, how do I handle myself? You know, so be prepared for that. Get a hobby. I didn't start fishing till after I had my kid, right? So be kind to yourself, and know that fathers, we kind of get the short end of the stick on the support from the community. Now, obviously, we have the easy part when it comes to actually, like, you know, pushing the baby out into the world. Like, we don't have to do shit. But there's not, I guess what I'm trying to say is the support is proportional. right? The support should be to the like on the mom, but know that you're a human being too, and you're going to have feelings, and you're going to have to deal with them because you don't have time not to deal with them. Like you can't afford to have a breakdown because you got to feed the kid every 3 hours. My son is about to turn 4, and so that's long enough to start being able to look back and have some regrets, right? So one of my biggest regret actually is that we did not socialize him early. And the reason we didn't was because he was a NICU baby, and when they send you home, they put the fear of God into you about getting your kids sick, and you're actually supposed to keep them on lockdown through their first year, basically, through their first winter outside of the hospital. And there's all kinds of things that a normal kid can get or an adult can get that don't affect us that much, but a NICU baby, it'll put them back in the hospital. And so we kept our entire family basically sequestered for a year after we brought our kid home. And that was hell, number one. But number two, what we should have done at the end of that year is immediately gotten him out and gotten him into some sort of play group or, anything to get him around other kids. But we had lived that way for a year and we were set in our ways and we had our systems down and we just didn't get him socially active as soon as we could. So I would say the minute a doctor clears you for him to go, he or she to go play with other kids and get colds and get the stomach virus and bring it home so you can get the stomach virus. The minute a doctor says you can do that, do that. Take him to church, take him to school, take him to whatever. The daycare question is a whole different thing, but you want your kid to be able to play with other kids well. And our kid doesn't yet because he just started preschool, and that was honestly kind of his first foray into the world of other children. Be very careful with babysitters. Make sure you trust your babysitter. Or look who you're talking to. Never trust your babysitter, right? Trust but verify, like Reagan said. We had some bad babysitter experiences. So be careful with that. If you can get family, that's always better. But yeah, make sure you're watching the babysitter situation. Last but not least, if your hands are slippery, if you have just put on sunscreen, or you've just been working with coconut oil or whatever, for whatever reason, if your hands are slippery, wash them before you pick up your child in their car seat or carrier. You never think you're going to drop your baby until you do. Luckily, mine was in his car seat, so it sucked, but nothing really major. But I mean, it was a day ruiner, that's for sure. But be careful because you're going to be under so much stress. You're going to be under so much stress. Everything's going to be happening so fast and all at once, and you just won't think about it because you're not used to lifting another human being and carrying them around. So be careful about stuff like that. I guess that wasn't really last because this will be last. Be present with your kid. They're only however old they are, they're only that age once. And they change so fast. And again, kids turning 4 soon. I'm already looking back and saying, wow, I miss those times when he was XYZ. I miss those times when he was crawling, when I could fit him in a drawer. Not that I ever put him in, not for long. Just until the babysitter got there. The point being, be present with your kid. Make sure every day you are taking time to focus on being with your kid and not raising your kid and not developing your kid and not earning money to spend on your kid. Be with your kid. And that's all I have this week. I know this was a long one. Thank you for sticking through it. If you have, and if you haven't, then I hope it's more interesting for you next week. Thank you all for watching. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.